Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome. Today's date is the 29th of January, 2026. It's 5:02 p.m. I started a little late, so the light's streaming in. Might look a bit funny. Let's talk Steve Bannon. Let's talk Xi Jinping. Let's talk China. I'm going to tell you what's going on exactly. Gold's up, silver's up, the crash is imminent. My God, we're all going to die and we'll still be here next week. Don't panic. Don't worry about that. Ladies and gentlemen, let's cut to our favorite intro.
In cyber is a real domain of power. In cyber is a real domain of power.
I come home in the evenings and I turn on the television to see what's happening, and then as soon as I wake up in the morning, I've turned it back on just to see if anything's changed since I went to bed.
Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, we really need to get something straight. I want to show you the difference between rhetoric and harsh rhetoric, which isn't an act. Clearly, as I told you, Jewish power is finished. Has Jewish power gone away? No. Jewish power still has power. It has power in the sense that Jewish power has a lot of dirt on the American elites. They are so filthy, all of them. That's why they can't just get rid of them. They can't even tell us who did 9/11, can they? Candace can't tell us. Tucker can't tell us. Steve Bannon can't tell us. I'm just watching Candace right now live with Bassem Youssef, one of my favorite comedians. And they ain't going to tell you who did 9/11. They'll crack little jokes and mention Dancing Israelis, but they will not tell you. I just want you to know that Candace and Tucker and Whitney Webb and all the rest are merely reactions to this. They are reactions to this. Okay, we're going to go to a playlist. This is my channel. Link is below. Go to playlists. And then you will go to Confronting Power Offline. This is what has changed things. It's not the Groypers. It's not Whitney Webb. It's not Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson. They are reactions to the work we have been doing all these years, from my arrest in 2009 to confrontations with police, confrontations with high-level officials. It's all in these videos. You can see it all. It'll get 2,000 views. To having courted by high-level Jesuits, including the former Prime Minister of Australia, Special Forces Minister Joe Francis, James McMahon, Colonel retired, Tony Abbott, Jesuit, all friends with the Windsors. These are the people who have invited me out. Fred Smith, Skull and Bones, inviting me out. And of course, we have, Leah Mackenzie Kernan, the sister of Colonel Andrew Kernan, General Milley's JAG, his top lawyer, and now the top lawyer in the Pentagon comptroller. It's people that we know who service retired generals' gas turbines on their private aircraft. It's people in the military. It's people in private security contractors. It's people in JSOC and SOCOM who we have contacted and lobbied into over the last 15 years. That is what has forced the hand of the system as it seeks to control the narrative. And here is just an example for those of you that don't know. As we get into Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and all the rest in China, and I'll give you the full explanation, but I want to set the scene.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
This is a few good Jews.
Rothschild has been on the street for years confronting the American political and business class.
Senator Sanders, the issue of the Jedi cloud, the Pentagon being compromised by Israeli intelligence.
Thank you.
Have you looked into that? Do you know that Microsoft is basically...
Excuse me.
Okay, this is a key issue, though. When are we going to talk about this?
From Lawrence, Kansas, this is Jeremy, Independent Line.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy.
I think it's...
That's a few good Jews. Okay, let's get that up. That's in the link there. A few good Jews exposing Israeli technology theft. That was June 2019. Jeremy Rothschild, Greg McCarran. June 2019. You've seen me before with Louis confronting police in 2014. You've seen me get arrested countless times talking about Variant in 2009. You've seen all that stuff. And then, of course, we have Mary Silva. You'll see that one just there. Me getting interviewed by police in 2014, Israeli Yeshiva military academies, intercept units, which is Unit 8200, all of that stuff. And of course, Lee Levino, here he was 18 months ago. And maybe this had something to do with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and this will tie in with Bannon. Okay, here's Lee at America Fest 2023. You ready? Ambushing Steve Bannon. This is what has changed everything. Whitney Webb has done nothing but cover the ass of this conspiracy. The reason you think she's a genius because you haven't seen the work we've been doing, which we gave to her and then she gave you 30%. There's nothing I can do because it's going to be like walking through mud. All right. You know, Whitney Webb's a fraud that she's covering for the system, which we bypass by getting out on the street, which is why you never hear from me, which is why you never see me, which is why I'm never cross-promoted, which is why I get hacked, harassed, broken into, non-stop for the last 15 years, jailed, arm broken, and all the rest. This is for the people that I might just catch on the back end. Now watch this. This is what forced the hand of the system.
Hey Steve, real quick, I want to give this information. Russian penetration of Israel, cyber attacks on the rise because of Russia and Israel. So I want you to look into that.
There's Steve Bannon looking at the flyer, the same one Mary Silva gives out at stuff. Okay, there he is. There's Steve Bannon. All right, 2 weeks later, this is what happened. You waiting for it? This is what has changed the whole system. Whitney Webb has had nothing to do with this. She has covered with little James Corbett and little T-Lav, the last American vagabond, pushing Putin, pushing Z, pushing the multipolar world order. She still can't say Kissinger except to mention him in Chile. I mean, there's nothing I can do. I can't beat the cross-promotion.
Please. Awesome, man. Appreciate it.
Israel is actually an ally, okay?
This is 2 weeks later.
But if you're going to be an ally, it's two-way. You got to be an ally. Netanyahu's been rubbing up on China.
Congressman, I just had some information for you. It's some serious information about Israel working with China and all high technology being exported out of the country. So I have some information for you about Microsoft, Intel, Qualcomm. All of their R&D has been moved to Israel, and we have this rise in cyber attacks. What do you got, Chief? And is this something you can look into possibly?
Really quick, he's late for this news hit, so let's
Is this something you can look into for us?
My chief, Andrew.
Okay. So you got the card there, and you can look into it. So
Okay, great.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother.
Hey, man. Hey, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
That is Lee Levino, but there's more to come. And now we go to Who Killed Charlie Kirk. That's the playlist Confronting Power Offline. Here is Lee Levino again. You've never heard of Lee Levino. They deleted his channel and put deceptive practices. Candace Owens and the Groypers and the Jew haters, they're everywhere. They're all over the damn internet. But you've never seen these people. You've never seen this before, and we're setting you up for what Bannon says recently.
Welcome everybody to the People's Convention. You feeling me?
Yeah. Well, I got some pretty important information for
What is
you.
that?
It's about Israel.
Okay, what about it?
The Israeli press has been warning us about this Russian penetration of Israel. We've got files KGB infiltrated Israel at the highest levels.
Oh, wow.
And all of our tech companies are being infiltrated by Israeli military intelligence. So check this out.
I love Israel.
Because this is, I love them as well. So we need to check this information out because we have Netanyahu. He's doing deals with China and Russia in broad daylight, giving them weapons. I mean,
I don't mind Russia. The China one bothers me.
Yeah, that's a serious problem.
God bless, man. I'll take a look at it.
All right, check it out,
Thank
man.
you.
And how long before Charlie was dead? Have you considered this? Nothing to do with Whitney Webb sitting online selling coffee mugs and t-shirts. Whitney Webb's not entering into politics. Whitney Webb's solution is, of course, to go to Odyssey, and she said refuse consent. We don't know what that means when the robots come and the tanks and the Bradleys, but never once will you hear her say engage in politics. One more to go. Mary Silva again. Okay. Congressional candidate Mary Silva, the most ignored woman on the planet.
Okay, I just handed out 50 flyers in 5 minutes. I should have had more printed. Oh my.
This is the same one that Lee gave Steve Bannon. That's excellent. People are having a lot of success with this, taking to the Congress people, taking it to chiefs of staff, their friends in the military. That is what has changed. When you see Candace and Tucker, that is a reaction of the system which has to cover its ass it's a tiny group of people. I've been approached by highest level people. I will not accept. You know, Julianne Romanello goes way beyond T-Town. The Heritage Foundation know who I am, for crying out loud. And I mean more than know. They wanted to get me to the United States. That's why I thought, well, maybe I should go to the embassy. But this was only, 3 weeks ago?
God, that was wild. I'm at the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association meeting where General Flynn just spoke. And they're having a prayer right now. Okay, prayer's over. So now I'm going to hand out flyers and show you guys what we do. Would you guys like to learn about the penetration of our country? Yep.
Whitney Webb has never told you to do this, ever. And I mean ever. Let's move it along. You've seen that bit before.
Guys both like one? Penetration of our country. This is information about it, just some news articles I found. Would you guys like to learn about the penetration of our country?
You know how easy this is? Do you have the faintest idea how easy this is? Do you mean to say James Corbett, Whitney Webb, Ryan Christian, they just said, no, come and talk with us on our little bubble? You mean to say all of these people never thought, you know what, you need to get out there to all these grassroots meetings, whether Democrat or Republican. They never thought to tell you this. You find Catherine Austin Fitz does it a bit, talks about getting out to your local politicians and stuff like that. But she doesn't talk about this at all. Never exits her mouth. She wants to talk about gold and silver and the banks. Better than nothing. And I'll give Catherine Austin Fitz this. She's been around a long time and she's always pushed that local grassroots. But you got to give the big picture. You see, someone can really appear to be doing something wonderful and awesome, but they're not actually doing something wonderful. Catherine Austin Fitz can't even tell you who did 9/11. All right, she's been around since the days of Cynthia McKinney and good old Michael Rupert from the very beginning. No one will you don't have to cross-promote with me. Cross-promote with Mary Silva, congressional candidate, with Lee Levino, perfectly respectable people. Nothing, nada, zero. Because that's the deal. I've got the Pentagon trying to recruit me. They've recruited everybody. Nothing I say will convince you. Nothing I say will convince you. And on it goes. There we see Charlie. Okay.
Thank you. Would you like to learn about the penetration of our country? There's just news articles that will help you. Yep, it'll help you understand the real problem here that we're dealing with. Thank you. Would you like to learn about the penetration of our country? There you go. It's information about the penetration of our country, backdooring through the critical infrastructure and how it happened. Okay. So that was all Lee's flyers that just went out, and General Flynn talked about China, and he didn't mention anything about Israel, of course, but yeah, so this was the flyer, and I just said, well, you guys can watch it, but I just said, would you like to learn about the backdooring of our country via technology? Very simple, and people were ready and willing to take it. So this is the type of event you should go to really help people understand what's happening. You don't really have to explain a lot. They are very receptive for the most part. So actually people were interested to take it. That was insane. So I'm really happy, and yeah, this was a good night, and I'm exhausted because I just had a full day of work too, and I drove 2 hours to get here. So I'm going to bed, guys, and well, I got to drive 2 hours home, but I'm going to bed after that, and yeah, it's an exciting night, and I'm very happy.
And there you go. There you go. That's how you do it. That is what has changed things. I've been at this 15 years, just in this phase, 30 in total. Now we've set up for Steve Bannon. Everything you see happening now is because of us, a small group of people. Remember, I've invited out with Skull and Bones Fred Smith, founder of FedEx, on the record. Whitney Webb knows who I am, won't mention my name. All the work I did, arrested, beaten, broken, Telp Program Unit 8200. Who started it? I started it. I got it into major court cases. I had the Israeli state come out against me. Moving on in to Lee, Jeremy Rothschild, Greg McCarran, and all the rest. That is what has broken through. All the military people. I'm in bed with Leah Mackenzie Kernan. Her brother was going to command JSOC, Joint Special Operations Command. He was an Army Ranger originally. As he was going through the program, he was probably tapped to be a future Chairman, Joint Chiefs of Staff. He lost his command. Leah said to me, "Oh, I think my brother lost his command because of us," because he's the golden child, Colonel Andrew Kernan. Seems like a nice guy, because I read all their text messages. I said, put a password on your phone. And here we are today. So people, what do you think I am, a chump? This is what we do. This is what has changed the world. Not Whitney giving you the limited hangout online. Israel's bad. Well, yeah, because we got it out there to the military. We didn't get it to grandma. We got it to literal high-level military in the last years. I'm invited out with Colonel James McMahon, SAS retired and high-level intel asset, who's best friends with our former Jesuit Prime Minister Tony Abbott, who hangs with the Windsors. That's the royal family. I was invited out for beers. Senator Andrew Hastie, SAS retired. I hope I've made myself clear, and I hope I've set this up for the segment now on Steve Bannon. Now, this is 16 minutes, man. This is 16 minutes. This is incredible. We're watching the whole 16 minutes. I only watch a segment, unfortunately, which is a bit unfortunate. Because watch this. Watch this. I'm going to obviously interject. This is the links are below. Links to everything. All the playlists. And all I ask you to do, if your goddess Whitney Webb, and who loved Whitney Webb? Leah Mackenzie Kernan, that's the Colonel Andrew Kernan's sister. Loved Whitney Webb, her goddess. They're getting control of assets. Whitney Webb's father, of course, Richard Webb IV, involved in drug trafficking. Could be a CIA coast officer, could be just a link in the Russian-Israeli drug trafficking operation, bringing it up from Arizona through land deals and all their RV camping stuff. We'll go into that a bit more. Let's now watch Steve Bannon. Now, these are for the detractors. Oh, it's all a scam. It's just a scam. It's just acting. It's to distract us. No. Jewish power's finished, but it's not dead yet, because local US elites are so filthy and so corrupt. That's why this is still ongoing. That's why Chabad have found a use for themselves as the court Jews of DC, as they run and organize deals with Russia. And now I'm going to tell you about Xi and Putin. It's all coming together. Trump's going to meet Xi very soon. Now let's watch this. Ari Emanuel. Somewhere in there.
Thank you. We are at war.
Now remember, take this in the context now. I want you to take this. Well, I have to keep altering the damn sound levels. Damn it, stop it. Why do you keep doing that? I want you to listen closely as Bannon unleashes. This is more than rhetoric. When you're talking Greater Israel and talking about the Israeli Empire, that's beyond that. All we need now is Oda Janon. We need the whole story. Let's see. So if you keep the pressure up, they will be forced to talk about it. Make no mistake. They will talk about it.
You know how we know this? You just heard Hawkins up here a few minutes ago, right? What did she say at the very moment Charlie Kirk was assassinated, at the University of Montana? They laughed in her face, right? Laughed in her face, and some guy goes, "Oh, we're at war." Charlie Kirk knew we were at war. Every time I've spoken at any event of Turning Point, I always start with that, because Charlie Kirk knew one thing. He knew we were at war, and he knew we were going to be victorious if we didn't quit.
Bassem Youssef said something very interesting too, just now in Candace Owens. He said, Charlie's Twitter was saying still how much he hated Muslims, and Muslims were being used to slit the throat of the United States. And Candace, oh, well, he didn't run the Twitter. And he said, yeah, Candace, Bassem Youssef is the best. He won't back down on this stuff. He won't back down on this stuff. Listen, Charlie Kirk was a piece of shit, all right? I'm going to tell you, he was a piece of shit Was he waking up to Israel? Yeah, but not because he had any compassion for fellow human beings as Jesus would have. Not because of that. Remember, all these people have got Jesus. Here's what bugs me. They've got Jesus on their lips. Can you imagine being so versed in the Bible that you've got Jesus on your lips and yet, I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. That's it. That was a genocide you saw. And US elites helped that along just fine. Just apologize.
So what do I mean by that? Let's go back. Do you understand, for the last 10 years, there have been 8 national elections, either primaries, off-year elections where Congress is voted on for the whole nation, or presidential elections. We have won 7 of those 8. This is why they hated Charlie Kirk. It wasn't Charlie Kirk's philosophy or even his debates. Charlie Kirk was a tough person that built a machine that you guys are dedicated to that delivered victories. Let's be specific. Go back to 2015. President Trump, 15-16, wins the primary against all odds. Then in 16, he wins a come from behind, once in a lifetime victory against Hillary Clinton. We lost the 18 midterms because people were leaning on their rakes. And we lost, 35 or 40 House seats. And Nancy Pelosi told us exactly what she was going to do. She impeached Trump and almost brought it all down. President Trump came back, won the primary, right? Very easily. Nobody really ran against him. I don't think anybody ran against him. 2020, we won the 2020 election. Is there any dispute on that? If you don't believe that, you don't believe a foundational element of the MAGA movement. We won 2020. And to show you how we won it, we picked up 14 House seats that night. 14 House seats. Then President Trump went into the wilderness. This is when Charlie Kirk really, I think, stepped up the most. President Trump was sent to Mar-a-Lago. They never thought he was coming back. The Republican Party never thought he was coming back. And what happened? President Trump grinded it out. In fact, he told us on this stage last year, right here, the first time he told anybody. When Charlie had him come out here and speak, what did he say? He said, I had to run again because I could not let them steal an election because they're stealing the country. And we see what Biden did. Then we win the...
Let me cut in and tell you exactly what happened. Madison Pompeo obviously got Kissinger and all that out and got Trump under control. Remember, Trump was there to pull the US out of NATO, pull the US out of Europe, out of Eurasia, out of the Middle East. Didn't happen. Then they were going to run Jared Kushner 2028, then release a virus. Everything went to hell. That's why you had Xi get up in 2017 and start going, well, if they end the multipolar world order, we'll sort this out, this globalism out. We'll sort it out. And of course, they end up releasing a virus. Well, US elites didn't back down. In fact, they went harder. And now we're seeing the rubble. Now Xi has killed off his best generals. We'll talk about that in a minute, as has Putin, because now they're assets of the United States, setting up the new Ode de Genon for the benefit of Pax Americana, US elites, with their little sidekick court Jews on the side. No one's happy about it, but this is the way things work. They needed Trump in the wilderness for 4 years. While they did that, the main benefits of the Trump administration, the first one, which was the CHIPS Act and getting that all back, they all started that process. The Biden administration kept that process going. They then proceeded to be raving lunatics and keep the horse shit going. You had senile old Biden. They then had the old drunk, the literal drunken piece of garbage, Kamala Harris, who was an embarrassment. That's the Aryan Rahm Emanuel show. So Trump was always meant to get back in. That was a breathing space. Meanwhile, Heritage, and this is the key, the Heritage Foundation, started by non-Jews, 1973, Kissinger, Nixon, there's a voiceover coming, don't worry. At the same time, we're doing the BSF. Then they bring in all the Jewish intellectuals, the old Trotskyites, the Irving, the good old Irving Kristals, and etc. The old Trotskyites, all the old Jewish old Trotskyites who've now become neocons, which they are. What they wanted to do was destroy the world to rebuild it for the benefit of Israel, Ode de Genon, and the Belt and Road, the new multipolar Rothschild world order, the Hufjuden of Europe, the EU. That whole network was getting ready to build that network. Now what you're seeing with Heritage is a coup of forms, and don't rest your laurels on their pro-Israel. They're pro-Israel because they're building a giant base in Gaza. Hamas have been rescued by the US military have formed a corridor and Bibi's not allowed to go in there. All right? These are facts I'm giving you. When the big base goes into Gaza, you'll begin to understand what's going on. If you think Jewish power in its classic form under Kissinger, Rothschild, all that old network, Macron, they're not looking too good over there, are they? They're really upset. They're really not getting used to this. They woke up out of their drunken stupor, their ass is in the air, and there's Trump hammering in a big splintery dildo. They don't like it. They really don't. And not out of the woods yet, because what have they got? They got a big giant backdoor in there. It's a little bit of a worry. That's why they can still negotiate. But of course, they know at the end of the day, they do anything, they try to pull something off with that backdoor stuff, they know what the US will do to them. But the point is, they're both as criminally bad as each other. One's nationalistic and one's that international element. And that's the fight we see going on. All right, very simple. So I'll explain to you as we go on. Just by this video with Bannon, the rhetoric is just so... I never watched the whole thing. I really let myself down sometimes. Thank you to the people that reminded me. Brendon, what, did you watch the whole thing? And I went, oh shit, that is damn good. That is more than just a casual mention. Let's listen some more.
Midterms in 22. We picked up, 11 seats, 8 net, and took the House of Representatives. There were supposed to be more, but we got control of the House. And then...
I should have cleared on. So Heritage has come in. Now they're ready. Project 2025. Russell Vought, all the gang. A lot of people don't like, particularly Project Esther's there. That's to protect Israel, to make sure the US stays there. All right. They don't want Russia and China coming in there at any stage, at any time. That's all they're protecting at the moment. You only have to look at the rhetoric. This is all Heritage Foundation. Not exactly my favorite place. These people know who I am. In fact, they were the people, as Julianne Romanello said, this goes way beyond T-Town. She was talking about the Heritage Foundation.
And really the greatest come from behind ever. President Trump, turning point, put him on their shoulders. We won the greatest election in the history of the country. In 10 years, a decade, you've been beaten once. When we leaned on our shovels. Charlie Kirk understood one thing. We are at war. It's a political war. It's a cold civil war. We don't want it to turn hot. We don't need it to turn hot. If we accomplish what we're supposed to accomplish. And we have won 7 of 8 national elections. The American people are with us as long as we get things done, as long as we accomplish the punch list that Rob Snyder talked about when he walked down this stage. That's what's incumbent upon us, and that's what the Republican establishment to date, because you can already see what they're doing in trying to block President Trump. You see this in Indianapolis. You see this in the redistricting. The Republican establishment think that President Trump's just a passing storm and that he's just going to fade away. And what they're going to try to do is co-opt Turning Point, because Charlie has built it into a massive political operation that cannot be beat.
Charlie Kirk built it? Are we sure about that? Charlie Kirk built Turning Point?
And the left knows that. It's one of the reasons, yes, I realize we haven't gone to trial yet. We don't know all the information. It looks like, at least the information we have out, it may be this guy, maybe not an organization in back of it. We don't know that yet because the evidence hasn't been put out.
I'll tell you who did it, and it wasn't Israel. All right? Has Israel benefited? Look, just before we go. Has Israel benefited from the assassination of Charlie Kirk? I know Israel said, it's all coming out. He's turning against us, which he was. Let's blow his brains out. Let's shoot him in the neck in full public view with everyone's camera. Yeah, that'll work for us. What happened? The inevitable happened. Everyone's turning against Israel. So who did this? Well, I told you who did it and who killed Charlie Kirk. Office of Naval Intelligence, Skull and Bones boys. That's who killed Charlie Kirk. And I might add, if Charlie Kirk turns up alive, resurrected from the dead in an Ari Emanuel Marvel movie from Israel, nothing would surprise me. I've told people over and over, look, he's dead. All the evidence points to that. They've shown about all his t-shirt, all the rest, his skull. He was probably shot from above, from a small caliber handgun, through the top, near the base of his skull here, near his ear. It's gone down through his cavity. He was dead instantly, down through his limbic system there, which controls his heart rate, the trauma from that bullet, and it's popped out his neck. Obviously, it wasn't a 30-06, which I didn't even realize how much bigger it is than a 308. Obviously, we know that's horse bucket. That's why Candace and Tucker say, well, I'm not a ballistics expert, because you understand that they are damage control for the masses. This was about stirring an army against the political Zionist movement. This is stirring an army against the EU. And they sacrificed one of their own. I told you they're all pieces of garbage, didn't I? Did I not tell you that? All of them. Little demons with Jesus on their lips. Look at Bannon, the old drunk. At least he looks better. At least Bannon, he's cleared himself, he's done his hair, his dandruff. He still needs to dress up a bit better considering he's where he is. But Bannon, if you don't know, I am going to get a compilation of the best of Bannon where he's ripping into Kissinger, the City of London, you name it. I mean, the rhetoric is too strong. Now you're combining the rhetoric with going after the EU. I know we'll want it all done next week. I'm not asking you to trust the plan, but I am asking you to at least balance out your own analysis without being so ridiculously polarized and belligerent. Every time you better get a bit of good news, you immediately turn around and go, oh, it's a cunning plot. Instead of going, okay, that's good, we're moving on. And we just got to ask the right questions. Remember, the right question isn't, do we have a central bank digital currency? The right question is, who controls the central bank digital currency? That is the correct question to ask.
But Charlie Kirk is dead. Think about that. The individual that's probably, I think, at his age, the greatest individual this country's produced politically, culturally, since the revolution. Remember, all of the revolution with 30. Charlie Kirks, hell, he's 31 years old. He's been doing this since he was 18, 17 or 18.
The Lodge loves a good sacrifice. Watch out, Nick Fuentes. You might be next to get it in the neck.
But Charlie Kirk was a man of action. And I want to make sure that we get something straight tonight. We have a partners discussion. And I want to say up front, if I hurt some feelings here, you can come and talk to me afterwards. This whole thing that's gone on the last couple of days, some of the comments tonight, this is not about, this specific incident, it's not about freedom of speech or platforming or deplatforming. They're all talking about that, and that's, people are saying hurtful things to each other. Tucker said the quiet part out loud. This is a proxy on 28. Now, I think it's way too early to be thinking about
the 2028 election, he means.
About 28. But he's right about one thing. This is a proxy on an issue that's not freedom of speech and not are you going to get platformed or deplatformed. This is about a situation that Charlie Kirk was probably one of the most, if not the most important person in doing and accomplishing. And that is this concept of what I would call greater Israel in Israel.
Whoa, 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 whoa. You're not going to hear that too often.
First, you can't get a better defender of Israel than Charlie Kirk. You can't get a better defender of Israel than Steve Bannon. At Breitbart, adamant, couldn't have a two-state solution. In the White House, I'm the one that pushed initially hard to move the embassy to Jerusalem. At War Room, ask all the War Room people that are here. Ask all the posse. We always talk about it, and we're one state, not a two-state. But that's about Israel. It's not about greater Israel, and it's not about Israel first. Charlie Kirk had some foundational beliefs. Those foundational beliefs are, number one, he's a populist nationalist. America makes its own decisions for America. And
now, I want you to imagine that this is this profound things which you might miss. Imagine what he's saying. They're finally saying, oh, America doesn't have control of its foreign policy, and actually neither did it have control of their domestic policy. See, the next step is to get into the think tanks, Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, Atlantic Council, Carnegie, Rockefeller. That's the next bunch of rhetoric. I've seen them touch on it, but they never go after it. All right, you see Bissent going after the Fed, Jerome Powell. Again, you're being very belligerent when good news comes along. You need to say, okay, this is good. That's good. Well done. Give them an attaboy. Now, but say, move it right along. And the way you ensure that is to do exactly what you saw Lita Vino doing, what you saw Jeremy Rothschild doing, what you saw Greg McCarran doing, and what you saw Lita Vino doing, amongst many others who shall remain nameless, whose kids are now, in certain naval academies, whose kids are now in certain military outfits, whose kids are now entering the FBI. Well, I should say they're kids, 27-year-old type people, but you get what I mean. All those, John from Sheepdog Combatives, all those private security contractors we were talking to and giving them all that information, who've been making those flyers and handing to their clients. Who are their clients? Do you see what I mean about targeting the right demographic? Military and policing. I said it over and over. And that's why you see this. No other reason. There is no other reason you are seeing this but for the small group of people. Just a very small group of people that you can change the world.
As a populist, the American people are the people that make those decisions. Now, Benji Shapiro sat up here last night, and he was all, I'm going to, it's all about the truth. Ben, I've known you a long time, brother. You can't handle the truth. Let's face it, Ben Shapiro is the farthest thing from MAGA. Let's be blunt. He is a hardcore never Trumper. He's a hardcore never Trumper. In the spring of 16, he tried to upend Breitbart. He walked off the job, made a big deal about some incident in Mar-a-Lago with Corey Lewandowski. He tried to turn it to Ted Cruz from Donald Trump because he hated Donald Trump. In the general election, he barely supported Donald Trump. The first sign of when President Trump gets...
Well, the first sign is these beautiful pyramids in the background. There's the first sign.
Back to Mar-a-Lago, the very first individual that jumped on the Ron DeSantis train, the Israel First train, was Ben Shapiro. And those are the darkest days we had. In 21 and 22, you guys were there. He's consistently been against Trump, and now that President Trump doesn't back the Greater Israel Project. What is Greater Israel? It's not about Israel itself. It's about an expansionist Israel, an imperial Israel that Netanyahu and that crowd have thought up.
No, Steve, they didn't think it up. It's been around a long time, brother.
Israel First crowd is Ben Shapiro, Tel Aviv Mark Levin, and many others that want to put that ahead of America's interests. Charlie Kirk fought that. You know where Charlie Kirk fought it? In the White House. I know, because I was there. When I went back, Charlie Kirk was working with Sergio Gore, certain people around the vice president, to make sure that we didn't get sucked into a land war, a decapitation of the Iranian elites that would lead to a massive civil war that American troops would get sucked into, because that was Netanyahu's plan from the beginning. And we know that. The Times of Israel has published that there was no urgency to go after the nuclear weapons. We know the fact they couldn't finish what they started. We know for a fact that they needed American Aegis, THAAD missiles, Patriots to defend themselves. On day 10 of the war, they were losing, and they didn't have the offensive capability. And I don't mean the B-2s coming in and taking out the caves. They relied upon our 1970s technology of cruise missiles fired from submarines in the North Arabian Sea to take out the above ground. We had to bring that war to conclusion, and President Trump in his brilliance said, we'll do that, and we'll call it the 12-day war, and it's over.
And remember, too, you might be forgetting that Trump got up and said, oh, that missile shield, Golden Dome stuff in Israel, that's ours. That's our technology. That's ours. That's our technology. That's not an act, ladies and gentlemen. I beg you. These are big tells. Big, 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 big tells. No person should be blindly trusting the plan, nor should you be so damn belligerent. It's almost like people have made a career out of going after these people. All right? And you should obviously go after them, but you're not saying the positive things. That means you work for someone. You have a dog in the fight. You have alternative motives. You're getting paid by someone. Is it Peter Singer? Who's paying you? Who's paying you to do this? Instead of being positive and saying, okay, these are positive things. America is stronger. America is, you're seeing it now. You're seeing it right here. You're seeing it right there. A few weeks ago.
Now, for the Israel First crowd, they are the ones that are destroying Israel. Today in Miami, who's negotiating with Witkoff? It's the Turks, it's Qatar, it's the Egyptians. Because Qatar is going to underwrite Gaza.
Oh, this gets really interesting. Listen, he lets a few things slip. This is gold. This really made my ears prick up.
And 2 million Palestinians are going to stay there. And the Turks are providing on Egyptian soil, called Gaza.
See? Call it on Egyptian soil, call it Gaza. And he corrects himself. Whoops.
Or on Israel soil, called Gaza, is going to provide the military control mechanism over UAE troops, Saudi troops, and Egyptian troops. That's a two-state solution that has been provided because of the efforts of the Israel First crowd. And Charlie Kirk had one simple thing that he thought about. Who controls America and who makes decisions for the United States of America?
So, ladies and gentlemen, that goes ahead. Are you going to look me in my all-seeing eye and tell me that things are just as per normal? BB's running the show, telling everyone what to do. You've seen Sarah Netanyahu. You've seen the shorts. Links are below. You've seen Donald Trump spilling the beans over a year ago to Maria What's-Her-Face on Fox News. Yeah, the Iranians call me and beg me, please don't attack us, please. Please, they're not decapitating the Ayatollah. It's all a big show. They are negotiating a slow surrender. They want to keep Iran intact, and they want Iran on a pro-US stance. And I'll explain. Iran, Russia, China are all coming away from the EU and coming into the US fold. That's good. That's a good thing. You don't like that? I ask who you work for then. Who do you work for? You work for someone. Isn't this good? Are more good things happening than bad? Yeah, we'd like to see Chabad disappear in puffs of Auschwitz smoke, yes, and so would most of the Jewish communities around the world. They're getting a place found for them, don't worry. But I'm just asking you that it's time to stop being so belligerent. It's time to stop quoting David Ben-Gurion and thinking the new peace plan is suddenly the new UN or some garbage. I mean, people are really twisting themselves up their own assholes to try to make sense of it instead of just going, US elites woke up because they were dumb, stupid fools and idiots, and enough people in the military woke up. I was there. You weren't there when I spoke to state counterterrorism in 2009. You weren't there when I'm invited out with top-level British and Australian intelligence people. You weren't there when I was invited out with the senator in charge of, at one stage in charge of the committee in Australia on weapons procurement. You weren't there. 2014, 2015. You weren't there when I was invited out with Colonel James McMahon for beers. You weren't there when I was hanging out with friends of the foreign minister of Iran. You weren't there when I was with Sufyan over there in Lebanon. You can see me, again, link below, talking to Lebanese TV, 15, 20 minutes, the best 20 minutes you'll ever watch. Boom. You don't need a 2-volume treatise of facts and figures, a Warren Commission report from Whitney Webb to dazzle you with endless facts and figures that make your mind swirl. You go around, you discuss it over cocktails with your friends, and then what are you going to do? Are you going to help Mary Silva? Are you going to help Jeremy Rothschild, Greg McCarran, Lee Levino? Are you going to get out there and hand a flyer out? Oh, that's a waste of time. We just go with Whitney. Refuse consent, and we go to Odyssey. And if you can't see through that, where they said, we'll give you an echo chamber and you can all talk to each other. We'll give you 30% of the truth, just enough. Israel bad. Lex Wexner. You getting it? But you're not hearing about who's running Microsoft and Intel because all the backdoors. You're not hearing about who's running the power grid in America. Did Whitney tell you who ran the power grid? That might have been something worth telling. Still to this day, there they sit. Radcom, Rad Group, all these ones are military contracts. They're all Radcom. You have no idea how bad it is. Watch the videos. It's everything. Steve Feinberg over there in the Pentagon with DynCorp, servicing all that equipment, all Israeli forces. That's a bit of a worry. See, we're not relaxing here. We're not going, hey, we can lean on our shovels. Everything's under control. Yay, trust the plan. No, no, no. But when you see good things happening, you need to celebrate it and go, yes, I get it to a point. We can all be very negative, particularly when you've been at this a while and you're exhausted and you're not getting cross-promoted and you're watching all the little whores step in, all the little whores, all right, for the US intelligence community who have to explain why with a $50 billion a year budget, they missed all this. And they'll have to explain Michael Hayden, John Brennan, and Clapper. They're going to have to explain, why did you harass Bill Binney and all the old Patriot crew from the NSA? Why did you harass them and arrest them at gunpoint while they're in the shower and then hand over multi-billion-dollar contracts to your friends and then hand it all to Israel, as Bill Binney explained to us? Could you please explain that to us? They have to explain that. They're not very keen on that. So they've got their whores running around and everyone has to die. And then finally, Candace or Tucker or Megan will suddenly tell us who did 9/11. Maybe if Chris Boleyn is still alive, they might even have Chris Boleyn on. You know what I think? I think their numbers are all garbage. I think they're feeling the heat. And I reckon Chris Boleyn's going to get a call sooner rather than later. I believe Mary Silva eventually is going to get into Congress. I think you'll see a generational change. It's like corrupt coppers. If there's one thing I know about, it's corrupt coppers. You get these coppers, everyone lives in absolute fear of them. If you know your town, you know your background, who's ruling who. And then they retire and then they lose power. And then they get blown up and they get eaten by dogs. Literally happened to a well-known thug copper who killed a bikie and the bikies went and killed him back and the cops didn't even care. Dogs were literally eating his body after they blew him up in his car. Famous case in Western Australia. Don Hancock. Interesting, very interesting place, Western Australia. They lose their power. So this generation has to lose their power. Of course, we could all lobby and get out there on the streets with our flyers, but flyers are a waste of time. You go with Whitney to Odyssey and go, boo-hoo, it's terrible. And you all cry on each other's little shoulder. That's the plan.
And Charlie Kirk worked overtime because behind the scenes, he was a player, not just helping Sergio get all types of great people in there and vet those people, but actually talking about policy. And part of that policy was no more foreign wars. Charlie absolutely believed what I believe. The Middle East is a sideshow and Israel's a sideshow to a sideshow.
He took that out of good old Lawrence of Arabia. General, what's his name? He's a sideshow, old boy. No, it's not a sideshow. It's a very, very important part of that multipolar world order they want. And the US must. This is where Bannon really needs to quit it on that, because it is a vital hub. It is absolutely central to US control of the planet, the Bunting Cloverleaf map, and the AI data. That is where nearly most of the data is going to be running through, down through Europe, Eurasia, down into Africa.
Now, voices out there that support Israel, like Laura Loomer and Rabbi Walicki and others, are coming forward and say, look, maybe Bannon and these guys are right. We don't want to take any more American money. We don't have any more American control. We want to go out and do what we want to do when the Israelis feel they have to do it. I support that 100%. Israel needs its sovereignty. Israel needs to be independent. If Israel wants to take on Syria, go for it. If Israel wants to go into Lebanon, go for it. But not drag the United States of America into another endless war.
It's going to be a bit hard, Steve, with a giant base in Gaza. See, this is what I mean about Bannon. I don't know whether he's... that's just not happening. Israel's going to do exactly what it's told. It has no sovereignty now. It is now a protectorate of the United States entirely.
Ask Megyn Kelly when she comes up here. Look, Breitbart, Shapiro called Breitbart Trump Pravda. When he left, he called it Trump Pravda. And he was kind of right. We had to be. There was no other news site that was supporting President Trump. When poor Megyn Kelly came out in that first debate and made what looks like now some innocuous questions, right, about Trump's Facebook page or his Twitter feed, about Rosie O'Donnell and others, have Jack Posobiec ask her how it turned out. We unleashed the dogs. We were maniacs. Why? President Trump had no backing at Fox, had no backing at the National Review, and in 2016, that would have driven him out of the race. So we had to be there. But Ben Shapiro is like a cancer, and that cancer spreads.
Whoa, that's pretty harsh. Remember, Bannon's Office of Naval Intelligence, huh?
It's a cancer and it metastasizes. He tried to take over Breitbart and I ran him out of there. He tried to take over David Horowitz's, who was his mentor. Don't ask me. Ask the guys associated with David Horowitz what he did there. He tried to take that over. And mark my word, he will make a move on Turning Point because he's always been envious of Charlie Kirk.
Well, not hard. Big strapping Charlie Kirk and
there's little whiny Ben Shapiro who talks like this with his head down like a weird little rat.
Two totally different people. I asked you, I said, who the hell watches this clown? They said, we don't know. We don't watch him. Everyone can't stand the sound of his whiny little voice. Even Candace Owens said his numbers are fake. Well, you don't say. And so are yours, Candace. So are your comments. They're all curated. Try to find a negative comment. Man, the bots just rule. All Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, they just rule the bots. Big time. That's why you know it's bullshit. That's what I mean. Keep the pressure on. They're panicking. Remember, these are not nice people. These are whores for Babylon, all right? Whores for the beast for 20 years. They've now seen the light. It's all magical. It's all come out. No, they've been given their script and they are doing their job. Containment, control of the herd, keeping it with a contrived narrative, keeping it contained, thus far, not too far. We'll keep it there. Don't talk about 9/11. If there's one thing, if you want to lose viewers, money, and be sidelined, keep talking about 9/11. See what happens to you. It's the one thing that binds them all, from the Catherine Austin Fitz to Cynthia McKinney. Ask them to Whitney Webb. Could you talk about 9/11? I've been going through transcripts and going right through transcripts, keyword searching, talking 9/11, Chris Boleyn, not a peep, nothing. Nothing. That's all you need to know. This is the one ring that binds them all. They're all US intel, all covering their assholes. They've come to me and said, these things are... You can understand, this is not a theory of mine. They've come to me multiple times. These things are handled quietly. That's the name of my book. These things are handled quietly. That's what I mean. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to lie for you. I can't do that. The only thing I have is Brendon Lee O'Connor, an ordinary person. I'm an ordinary person, a former registered nurse. That's my claim to fame. I wanted my permaculture farm. I believed in prevention rather than cure. Gene Watson, nursing theorist, prepare your area, being an agent of change. Right? That was my thing. I bumbled into this. Synchronicity, divine providence, an acausal connecting principle. I know these people are frauds. I know they are controlled opposition. I know they are controlling a narrative. That's why I get 2,000 views. That's why when I exposed Leah Mackenzie Kernan and Colonel Andrew Kernan really went for it. That's General Milley's jag that down. That we bought down Silicon Valley Bank. I gave all that information and stuff. That was meant to be transferred to Colonel Andrew Kernan and directly into the hands of General Milley from Mike Gill. Mike Gill's correct. He's an asshole, but he's correct. His FBI handlers said, no, don't do it. That's why he refused to give us the stuff. 3 weeks later, I said, dude, when are you going to give us this stuff? And the FBI's going, no. 2 weeks later, what happened? Released the video. Silicon Valley Bank crashes because they withdrew all the drug money out of Silicon Valley Bank, which was in Boston Private Trust. It's all drug money. We bought that fucking bank down. I got all the receipts. It's right there in the videos. Right there in the videos. People just can't believe it. But you must be special forces. You must be this special soldier on a special mission. That's why little Whitney's friends would say, you're jealous, because see, they're her handlers. They're her handlers. Probably a Lockheed Fusion Center. You know, associated with Kissinger and Associates. That's why she only went thus far with Israel to what? Break off US public opinion. Why? Because they wanted to withdraw. And then put it in the hands of Russia and China. And there they all are praising Russia and China. It was inexplicable. Heinz Kissinger. Whitney, she will not say his name. Just recently, 4 months ago, Chile. Oh yeah, something about Chile. Not Kissinger and Associates, 73, the Binational Science Foundation. Oh no, she's not going to mention that. You see, it's the classic limited hangout. It's a joke, which is why she's badmouthed me, will never say my name. And I've got Cynthia McKinney. You've got a body of work to be proud of. Little Charles Johnson and the FBI, Agent Burma. You're one of my heroes. I mean, I just got to sit here. That's all I have to do. Remain alive and sit here. Let's see what happens by the middle of the year. So when you see this good news, these are the work of a few good humans, ordinary people. And they want you to believe you've got to be in a gang, and it helps if you are, with people helping, preferably face to face. They just can't bear the thought that a small group of people can change the world. And I've told you, they never really set it up properly. They just thought, we'll get everyone online, we'll pay them all, and then we will approach everybody, just like they've approached me. And, you know, it's cool. Hey, it's complicated. Here's my badge. I'm with the CIA, I'm with the DIA, I'm with the FBI, mostly FBI. And they come to your house and they're telling you how wonderful you are and you're doing really well. You've done a great job. You've got a commanding presence. Do you need any seed money for a better stage, you know, for your show? Do you need any more equipment? Look at good old True News and Rick Wiles. We need $250,000 for a new studio, and he got it. And then suddenly he disappeared the video on Telpia that he did with Whitney Webb. Probably one of the best interviews, the best one. Goes into the US Energy Act, all the stuff me and Diane did in 2018. She stole the whole lot. She didn't steal it. We gave it to her. And then she said, thanks. Like the Soviet Union. You just give the Soviet Union something, they say, thanks, goodbye. Stuff that's come out of her mouth is ridiculous. And all I got to do is stick around. That's all I have to do. And you're going to learn the hard way, though. Because if you can't keep the pressure on, if you don't understand that you cannot relax, not for a second, you've got to keep pushing and pushing and calling these people out. These are little whores. You don't go, oh, thank God somebody's here. No, this is the reaction to grassroots people doing grassroots things. And when you see Bannon doing this, you need to give a little golf clap at least. Take the win. Allow yourself to feel good. For those of you who are actually don't have an ulterior motive, who are sincere and sincerely belligerent, I get it. Believe me, you're looking at the king of belligerence here. King of simple questions and the king of belligerence. You almost don't believe it. But I'm asking you to take the win and keep pushing. Keep pushing. They're all freaking demons. I mean, I can't stand them. Jesus on their lips. You know, they need to come out and apologize to Muslims everywhere and say, we're sorry. We are going to deport most of you after we've fixed up your country and apologized profusely and made sure compensation is paid. And we're going to send a lot of you back. okay? And we're going to apologize our asses off. You're going to put up memorials. You're going to have handshakes. You're going to apologize your ass off. Big time America. But you're not so far. You've got to apologize to Mexico, Central and South America for the death squads, the Kissinger, Council on Foreign Relations, all that wonderful stuff. You know that you're not going to apologize, are you? Jesus on your lips. I suggest you do. I really do. It would make a huge difference. You never know. Keep demanding it. Who sees what happens? Anyway, let's wind this up.
This is not about speech. It's not about deplatforming. This is about power politics. And what Charlie Kirk believed in, to the core of his being, that America makes decisions for America and Americans make decisions for America.
Oh, wow. What a radical concept, everyone. Do you feel happy? But imagine having to say this. Imagine having to say that's how bad it got.
Was Charlie Kirk. Why the hell do you think they assassinated him? Why do they put the poison all over this place? Why are they mock and ridicule? James Carville said yesterday that
why did they assassinate him? Man, there's so much stuff comes out of their mouths which are profound. Listen to what he says.
Rob Reiner's done 100 times more than Charlie Kirk. They hate Charlie Kirk because Charlie Kirk brought victories.
Well, Rob Reiner did do some good stuff. He did a lot of good movies on Israel and the Pentagon and all that. So, give him a little bit of credit. Very suspicious what happened with Rob Reiner, though, isn't it? A bit weird.
And with victory after victory after victory, that's when we can re-Christianize this country. What was Charlie Kirk's lesson?
Re-Christianize the country? Dude, this is wrong. I'm not saying Christian values don't make a comeback, but I'm with Bill Cooper on this. You can't do that. You are alienating vast swathes of the population with the Heritage Foundation stuff. Project 2025. You need to get people on board. I wish they could come up with another word. We can at least have nativity scenes on the street. That would be good. I don't know. Look, it suits me. I mean, fine. But, in Islamic countries, you will find nativity scenes, and they always have had them. I want you to think about that. And yet you've demonized Islam, you've insulted Islam, you've killed a couple of million and more, 3 million total probably when you add it all up from 91. And you're still treating Islam like garbage. You're still insulting Islam. And man, that has got to stop because it's disgusting, because Jesus would not approve. You know what? I could tolerate it more, but for the fact they got Jesus on their lips. And I know Muslims that make better Christians than these assholes. This is where it all falls down. And, who knows? God might want to teach someone a lesson if we're not too careful.
We are a Christian nation that got off the rails. We have to re-Christianize this country.
How about Christian values? Truth, justice, compassion, mercy, Bill of Rights, US Constitution. Are you going to put in a Catholic theocracy? I'll fight you to the death. Oh my God, please. Please. Vatican II, Pope Leo, American, because they're all short of cash. I agree with Bannon on that. They're short of cash. Because the Vatican runs everything, but the Vatican's got no money, City of London's doing good, though.
You are in the shadows of a giant, not just an American patriot and an American hero. Charlie Kirk is a Christian martyr, and Charlie Kirk is a Christian saint.
All right, that's enough because I want to vomit now. I will literally vomit if I hear that. No. Charlie Kirk was a piece of shit, and right up to the end, he hated Muslims. To call him a saint is an insult to saints. I know a lot about saints, let me tell you. Called me a traditional Catholic, but I was going to be a Russian Orthodox monastic. All right, I took it seriously. I was celibate for 20 years. I'm not a normal person, I promise you. Sexuality is just fine. Love a good set of hips and all the good stuff. Baby breeding hips. I just need to tell you that he's a Christian martyr's asshole. He was an asshole from the beginning, a brat, and he was a brat at the end. All he saw politically was things going on that he couldn't accept. And the only time he said, I can no longer support Israel, was when they pulled $2 million. Not from the genocide, not from the mass slaughter. What, he just cottoned on? He can rot in hell. Same with that whore wife of his. That absolute piece of stinking, vacuous, shallow, dripping with her makeup. I'm sorry, do you read your Bible? Go and read your Bible again. Maybe I'm gonna start doing a Bible study. I'm gonna get my Bible out, only I don't have it. It's at the witch's house. Mi pequeña blanco bruja. My Bible and my icons and all my good stuff. God, I had no idea where it is now. I probably threw it on the rubbish tip. But I'm going to have to do a Bible study, and we'll show Jesus, then we'll show Charlie Kirk and all his comments. How about we do that? That's enough from Bannon. Now, let's talk about China. Now, if you don't know, a couple of the top generals are gone. Xi Jinping is firmly in the hands of the United States. It's another Maduro. He's going to meet Trump up to 4 times this year. It's going to be interesting. Are they going to do a blockade? It'll all be contrived because they want all the Taiwanese top engineers in the United States. They will either do a blockade and an invasion, but will have the papal blessing of Trump's Catholic theocracy, apparently. Very much on the cards. I can see that happening. It'll give a win for Xi, make him a bit of a hero. And they can get to building Cold War 2.0. All his best generals are gone. And of course, you have Vladimir Putin. All his best generals are dead. His officer corps is devastated. His most aggressive and best officers and colonels and captains are all dead, leading from the front. As again, General, what's his name? Javorkin, whatever his name is, he's in jail, and his best parachute regiment guy is under house arrest. And I don't even know if they're alive. We've heard nothing from them. So it's beautiful. They're all under control. And what was the whole key? It's what we've talked about. Multipolar world order. Keeping German, French, Swedish, high technology, European Union, Europe, Rothschild. High tech away from Russian raw resources, all their raw resources, all their cheap energy, all their gas. Separate them. And of course, Chinese manufacturing, because that was what Kissinger and associates were doing. Building Eurasia for who? For the benefit, ultimately, of Greater Israel and the benefit of Jewish power, not Jesuit power, not Vatican power, Jewish power, the Hofjuden. And you will understand when you understand the Hofjuden. Again, watch the previous videos and all will become clear to you. Everything is going swimmingly well. Iran will be under control. There'll be a lot of fish shaking and there's not going to be a breakup. Remember, they got 15 different ethnic groups. I don't believe there's 30,000 dead. I believe there's 3,000 to 5,000. Iranians are not stupid. All right, they're not going to run out on the streets and get slaughtered. If there were killings, most of them are probably on the peripheries, near Iraq, on the borders with Iraq, and the borders up there with Turkey and so on, and Azerbaijan and all the rest, where there's a lot of ethnic, and a lot of them are armed, I might add as well. Remember, they lost upwards of 500 security personnel as well. I don't believe the 30,000 number. I just don't believe it. Regardless, what they are going to do is put on a big show. You remember the last time, again, the links will be below where Trump spills the beans. Everyone's begging, please don't attack us, please. You know, and then they shake a fist. Maduro first, he's saying, please take what you want. What do you want? Then they have a word with him and they said, look, you come out and shake a fist. We're going to land our special forces. We'll kill off your Cuban bodyguard, all your best generals. We already own them. They've got their condos in Miami and their bank accounts in Miami anyway. We own them. And you can come and self-surrender. And that's exactly what happened. Not saying it wasn't ballsy. Not saying it wasn't good. The US isn't there for a fair fight. The US is there to win. And they always win with their checkbook. End of story. Maduro, there was no huge firefight other than testing some crazy new weapons, I expect, on that Cuban bodyguard. Because remember, Maduro was so loved after 500 billion of Chinese investment. We're not sure where it all went, but clearly into his Swiss bank account. Maduro was so loved, the guy couldn't even trust his own people to look after him. Doesn't that tell you something? The man couldn't even get 30% of the vote across the board in the election. And that was one of the fairest and best elections because so many people were recording the votes and uploading them. All right, the guy was, and look who came out and defended Ryan Dawson. Oh, Maduro. I mean, these are all socialist commies, all in with the Church of Satan. Aren't you Ryan Christian? Or Anton LaVey fans? Maybe big fans of Alexander Dugin and, you know, Seven Rays of Light. Michael Flynn, you know. The Beast. The Beast. Alexander Dugin. Big fan of the Beast, that guy. Alistair Crowley. Aren't you Ryan Christian? Is it the Church of Set and Colonel Michael Aquino? Got family members involved in that? Little James Corbett, little homosexual, pretending to be married over there in Japan. Former research for the State Department, as was Ryan Dawson. What a little gang you are. As Ryan Dawson said to me when I got back from Iran, if you don't stop with your Christian shit, this is a quote, If you don't stop with your Christian shit, nobody is going to talk to you. That's a quote from Ryan Dawson, who was getting money off John McAfee, as was I. And when John McAfee stopped paying him money, he docked in John McAfee's location. I mean, you can't make that shit up. That's how low that rat is with his little pedophile. I believe they're all working for the US. I believe they're actually our counterintelligence operation, pushing a lot of stuff up, because I just can't believe anyone could be that stupid or that greedy or that embarrassing. But, you know, who knows? Who knows? But if you signed up with them and sent them money, you're probably on a list. You know, I often said the biggest espionage case in history would probably require the biggest counterintelligence operation in history. And as they said entirely, once 9/11 happened, they lost all their counterintelligence and they all had to go to counterterrorism. And in walked China with Israel, didn't they? All their equipment came pouring in. Maybe Whitney Webb will tell us about it. Maybe counter-science. Anyway, as you all know, gold, silver's going up. The end is nigh. You've heard it for the 400th time. The crash is coming. The crash is coming. There is no crash coming. There will be ups and downs. If there's one thing about Wall Street will tell you. What is the worst thing that can happen on Wall Street? And they'll tell you, a stable stock market. That's the worst thing. They want it up or they want it going down. And they'll tell you in interviews. We don't care if it goes up or goes down, as long as it's moving. And that's how they make their money. And the people, the cream, the insiders, they will make a fortune, and the suckers will get suckered. And it's like just another day on Wall Street. And in December the 7th, 2026, we will all meet again. We'll meet. I'll ask, how are things going? You still alive? Okay, things going all right? Yeah, there was a few ups and downs, but you survived. Yeah. Any zombie attacks? Tidal waves? Killer bees? Still here? Peter Schiff telling you the US dollar's collapsing again. Catherine Austin-Fitz, it'll be a slow decline. No, they already said they wanted a lower dollar. It's not to be robbed. How are you going to? Who's robbing the United States? And where are they sending the money? Where are they sending the zeros and ones? To Europe? I don't think Europe's doing too well, if you haven't noticed. Their economies are incredibly shaky. They're having to get used. Remember, they were all ready for the multipolar world order. They were ready to start investments with China. It's like DJI. It's a German company. All their phones are with Leica and Hasselblad. Why is that? Because it's all German. Now we see the iMac, and I'm not talking about in Belgium, the high tech. We're talking about the replacement for the Belt and Road running through India. And that is why good old Lodge boy, J.D. Vance, is married to an Indian woman. It's an arranged marriage, so Indians will be pleased when they take over a large segment of the work from China. This is the way the Lodge operates. So, your soul will be black, your heart will be black, America, but you'll be rich. I don't know where it goes from here. I just know this. I just know that's a beautiful sunset I can see out there. I just know this. It's only going to be as good or as bad as you make it. You could go right there, right now, to that Confronting Power Offline. 6 videos. I want you to look at Mary Silva. I want you to look at Lee Levino, Greg McCarran, Jeremy Rothschild. I want you to look. I want you to see me being interviewed by police, going off about Variant, getting raided by police constantly. I want you to watch that. Now watch Whitney Webb, watch James Corbett, watch Ryan Dawson, watch The Last American Vagabond. Watch them all. Watch every last one of them. Now tell me the difference. It is forbidden, to push political action. You are not allowed. It is the number one sin, because they all work for the enemy who are desperate. You know why they're desperate? Because they got to explain to the US taxpayer how all of this happened with a $50 billion a year intelligence community. And some guy from Australia who you labelled constantly mentally ill had to drag it out into the sunlight. And that's going to be a little bit embarrassing for a $50 billion a year industry, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave you with the great Bill Cooper and F. Scott Fitzgerald, if I can find it.
F. Scott Fitzgerald, quote, "The test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposing ideas in the mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. One should, for example, be able to see that things are hopeless and yet be determined to make them otherwise. This philosophy fitted on to my early adult life when I saw the improbable, the implausible, often the impossible, come true."
What is our common bond truly? Freedom! Freedom. Without freedom, you can't be a Christian no matter what denomination you belong to. You can't be a Buddhist. You can't own a donut shop. You can't drive from here to Oregon. You can't be an American because that's what it's all about, and it's the only thing that it's all about. Nothing else. Nothing else. It's about freedom. Only freedom.